I'm fascinated with you being a black dude from Arizona that not only did cheerleading and stuff and is an incredible comic and your love for music, but you specifically love punk rock to a level that I don't think I've ever seen, like real punk rockers. Like
Yeah.
maybe like Duff McKagan and like some of these guys like Johnny Rotten and those dudes might love it, but it just feels like you bleed it. So before we even get into this record, get me
Yeah.
to why I invited you here. Why do you love punk rock and how did that start?
You know, I mean, I have to go back to like just my initial love for music. Just started when I was a kid. I grew up in a pretty hectic home, you know, and only time I ever saw my mom happy was when she was like, it'd be like Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, we'd be cleaning up the house and she'd be playing music, you know. And so I was like, damn, this is dope. You know, this obviously gives her a vibe. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just took a dive into like, you know, New Edition, Boys to Men, like all that early 90s like R&B, and then even took it further, went back to like Earth, Wind and Fire,
Nice.
Zapp and Roger, just all kinds of stuff like that. And then, you know, even though my stepfather, he was crazy as fuck, he was a big West Coast hip hop guy. And I found the love for Snoop Dogg, you know. So I really loved, like, that was kind of like the area, like my intro to music. And then I just remember being like, I had to be like 6 or 7. And I just switched the radio station, right?
Mhm.
And the first rock song that I heard was Mississippi Queen by Mountain.
Nice,
Right?
dude.
And it was like that
Mississippi Queen.
yeah. And I was like, whoa. And so it was just so different, but it was just so unique to me. So I was like, man, there's got to be more of this. So
yeah,
a lot of it was like that classic rock, which transitioned into the grunge, right? So grunge was like that big thing.
that was me. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, and you know, like this is how big my love for music was. It just like I was just always at the radio. Like when everyone would go to sleep for the night in the house, I remember I'd sneak into the living room where the radio was, and I would listen to music real low. I just listened to the radio stations.
I love that
all the time. And oddly enough, I have this weird skill where I can literally hear music at its lowest point. Like we could be in a restaurant and I'm like, damn, this song's great. And people were like, what song is it? And I'm like, you don't hear it? Like that. So I don't know if I just trained my ears to be able to pay attention to that, because being a kid, I was just always like, listen to music that way.
You're the human Shazam. Like,
yeah.
You can also pick it out. Like, hold on, get back quiet. Just quiet down just a little bit. All right, that's Are You Gonna Go My Way by Jet. Just letting everybody know that.
But yeah, so then you know, like I said, I grew up in, like, my stepfather was crazy and abusive.
Yeah.
And then I got into the world of like Korn, the harder stuff.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. And new metal, I get it.
Yeah. And the reason why I got into that is because that was the first time I think I ever really fully paid attention to something lyrically. And Korn specifically, because, you know, the lead singer, Jonathan Davis, talks about his upbringing and his childhood and the songs. And so I would hear those lyrics, and also the sound of like the guitars that are dropped, you know, to a super low level.
Yeah.
So super low tuning, you know, I gravitated towards that, like Slipknot, Pantera, all that, because that was the sound that I was hearing at home. Like
yeah.
It matched what was going on at home.
And you know what's funny? I'm glad you bring that up about Korn, because Big J Okerson feels the same way. We've talked about their lyrics, I think, on the podcast before, one of our earliest episodes. But it's true. Like they're dark, they're real. I mean, it is some of the realest coming out of that new metal scene, where I think that's why these fans are so devoted to Korn. They still sell out everywhere they go. Still 100%. This huge. I saw them open for Orange 9mm in 1995 at the 930 Club. Yeah, at the original 930 Club on F Street. And I've like, listen, am I a fan in passing? I love some of the hits. I think the problem with Korn is that with all these dope lyrics, everybody, if you said, "Oh, you guys know Korn," and they're like, "Is that the band that's like?" And you're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, they're deep. Okay, I wouldn't know, I couldn't tell." But yeah, keep going.
But yeah, so that was like the beauty of it to me. It was like I felt like I just locked into it and wanted to just stick with that genre so heavy because I wasn't doing self-harm and I wasn't harming others. And I think if I didn't have that to connect with, I probably would have been that kid.
Yeah.
That probably would have done something, just because of what I was dealing with at home and with at school. Mm-hmm. So like, those particular songs and just, I don't know, I just felt so connected. It was like I was friends with these dudes, from a distance.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not that we're like crazy, like super fan, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
I get it.
Yeah, these are my friends,
dude, Dude, Radiohead, OK Computer, it literally felt like it was written for me. I remember looking at being in Staten Island on vacation, visiting my uncle, my dad's friend, and looking out at Manhattan, listening to that record, having just dropped out of junior college. Like, what am I going to do with my life? And it was almost like that album was everything I was experiencing. So 100%, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and it was just so perfect for me. Like, I mean, Korn has this song called "Kill You," and I remember when I used to listen to it's off "Life Is Peachy." And I remember when I used to listen to that song, like I'd just be in tears all the time. But it was like the song was like hugging me.
Yeah.
Because it knew, it was like, yes, we're in this together. And to find that in music, already love the world of music, and to find this specific thing that like, oh wow, there's something that's talking about what I'm going through. So that was the beauty of that. And then while in junior high, my junior high offered guitar classes. Mm-hmm. And I remember being in a guitar class, and I was in the class with this buddy of mine named Dom. We still know each other to this day.
What's up, Dom?
What's up, Dom? He was like, "Hey man, you want to be in a band?" Nice. And I was like, "Hell yeah!" And I was just like, "Yeah, band. What's up? Yeah, let's do it." And he goes, he goes, "Cool, man. I play ska," and I was like, "Yeah, whatever. Well, okay, yeah. What I don't know what ska is, but fuck yeah." Because at the time I was like, really into Pantera and Korn and Deftones. So like I was like, "Yeah, ska. Yeah, whatever." I didn't care because I just loved the world of music, so it didn't matter to me,
How big of a shock was that when you're like in your head expecting it to be like, step inside the nibble nails, and then you walk in there and it's like our house in the middle of our dream, our house. You're like, do I need to growl in this? Can I growl?
Just hugging.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
So so I remember going to Dom's house, and the cool thing about Dom's house, his room was like everything that I wanted in my room. Mm-hmm. My stepfather, to go back, my stepfather didn't like the fact that I listened to any of this music. He was like, that's white people shit. He would try to tell me that they're all racist, all this shit. He would, I would have posters, I remember I had this Korn poster. It's such a dope photo. I hope I could find that poster, but they were all like on lowrider bikes, and they had like, pit bulls with them. It's it was, I think it was when what's the album called? Why am I blanking on the album? Follow the Leader. It was that era. And so it was just such a dope ass photo. I remember I brought it home, my stepfather, he ripped it off the wall. I bought it from Kmart, if those still exist. I had brought it from a Kmart, and I remember he ripped off all these skate photos I had on the wall because I skated too. Like I just put a bunch and so like it just kind of like, tattered my world. And then to go to my buddy Dom's house and just to see all these posters of all these bands, it was like, hell yeah, he has his guitars and his bass, and all in his room is amps and stuff. And one thing that was really cool about Dom is that he had a bunch of flyers he collected a bunch of flyers for all these shows.
Yeah.
And he had them all, like every flyer he had taped on a wall. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow, like this is amazing. You know, and I wanted to be at Dom's house like all the time.
Yeah.
Just because like that was like that was a major.
You felt home. You felt home.
Yeah, that's where I felt home.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't even think I've ever explained that to him, but like it was home, and it was just so fitting. So he's showing me a Scott.
I watched Dom like listening to this right now. He's like, "Oh, you felt at home? Well, why didn't you chip in on paper towels, man? you're always using paper towels, eating sandwiches.
Yeah, you're always eating our food. Yeah,
you're always eating our food, man. Come on."
It's so funny. It's so funny. But yeah, so he started playing. He started showing me like Goldfinger, Less Than Jake, the Bosstones. He started showing me. You know, what was kind of crazy is some of the stuff I had already known. I was like, oh, I've heard this song. Like I remember the Bosstones from, you know, when they were in Clueless.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah. I was like, that's what these guys are. And, you know, so that stuff some of it already known, but I was still stoked to like play it, you know, exactly. And then he was like, we're going to go see Mad Caddies. You know, they're going to play at this spot, you know, just right here in Mesa, and back home in Arizona. And I was like, I'm going to a concert. I'd never been to a concert.
Oh, wow.
I never seen a live performance yet, you know? And I remember I go there were some local bands that opened up, and, you know, it was so wild. You know, everybody was like skanking, you know, the trumpets were going off, you know, it was dope feeling. I was like, wow, this is amazing. You know, I just love the world. And the lead singer, he's like hanging from, you know, one of the rafters. And I was like, wow, this is, but it was a tiny club, but it was so packed full of people. And I was like, yeah, I love this. And so I was at the Nile all the time. Yeah. Right. Because the shows were so cheap, you know, they were just like $5 shows. And so the Nile has two rooms. It has their like main room, and it has the basement. And the basement was where I was like all the time. You know, the basement was just so fascinating to me. Well, here's where punk rock comes in, like the hardcore comes in. Okay. So Dom's brother, he's got his brother Joey. He would always wear this Black Flag shirt, right? And I'd see the Black Flag, but it was the bars. And I was like, oh, yes.
That's a Joy Division version of it by Meth Syndicate. It's fucking, I get so many compliments on this. Still one of the best. That's a good one. Black Flag logo is hands down one of the coolest logos, I think, in rock and roll.
Most iconic logo, I think, hands down. And I kept looking at that, and I just like, but it was just that logo, the bars that were just so fascinating to me. And I was like, what is that? You know, and he was like, he goes, it's Black Flag. And I was like, I got to hear this. You know what I mean? He goes, you never heard of it? I was like, no, show me Black Flag. And this was back in the day when, before like LimeWire, what the hell was it?
Napster.
It was before Napster.
I don't fucking
can't remember.
Rhapsody.
Was it Napster?
Napster was the big one that dropped, and then
LimeWire.
It was but it went. Napster was before LimeWire.
LimeWire.
It was Kazaa.
Yeah, whatever.
Kazaa.
Oh, yeah,
it was Kazaa. Kazaa. There it is. So,
allegedly.
Yeah. So we go to his computer, and he gets on Kazaa, and he downloads a Black Flag video. And this specific video I'm about to bring up is on YouTube. But it's this video from like, I want to say Black Flag in 81 with the lineup of Des Gadina, Greg Ginn, Rollins on vocals, Chuck Dukowski bass, and then Robo on drums.
Yeah.
And Rollins is super skinny. Only tattoo he has is the Bars logo.
Yeah.
And I just remember seeing that like they had the backdrop, just like this little sheet right here, but it had the Black Flag, like it looked like someone like just spray painted the logo for them. It was like, here's your backdrop, you know.
Probably did.
But it was like, I was like, oh my God, this looks great. And as soon as it started, they did Rise Above. They were playing Rise Above. And the way I just saw Rollins just attack that stage or floor, because it was, a little tiny club or whatever. Yeah. But just the way I saw him attack it and the way I saw the band back him up with that energy, I was like, who is that guy? I was like, who is that fucking guy right there?
Yeah.
He was like, that's Henry Rollins. And I was like, I need to know everything about that guy.
Fuck, I love that.
And I remember, I went to this record store back home called Rockaway Records. This is out in Mesa. And they had a punk section. I remember I got Black Flag first 4 years, the Minor Threat, Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, GBH. I just grabbed, I got the GBH because I thought the cover looked cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I grabbed it. It was in punk, grabbed it. Same with like the Minor Threat and same with the Dirty Rotten Imbeciles. I saw that logo of the dude, the skanking, and I was like, I need it. And so I remember I went home and I just took a deep dive. I just read the CD booklets, anything and everything I wanted to know in these booklets. They had the thank yous. They're thanking other bands.
Yeah.
That's how I found out about more bands.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So and the lyrics, everything, I just needed to know. And when I heard, when I would listen to Black Flag Rise Above on repeat, because I was like, why this song? Why do I keep listening to this song on repeat? Why? And then I broke down the lyrics, just the same way I broke down the lyrics with Korn.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that jealous cowards try to control, rise above, we're gonna rise above. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay, so metal, here it is. Metal was that thing that was like, that new metal, the Korn, all that stuff. That was the thing that was like, here's what you're going through, right? And then the punk was like, here's what you're going through, this is what you're gonna do about it.
Yes. That's perfect. Fuck, dude.
So
yeah, 100%.
So it was that then and there, right there, where I was like, oh, I need to stand up for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I need to stand up to my stepfather, to the kids at school that try to pick on me for being the black dude, that's in love with rock and roll,
mm-hmm.
That loves to skate. I was like, I need to defend myself. You know what I mean? That rise above, it was like, so this is why I bleed punk, because it was everything I needed. I just needed to find it. It was there for me the whole time. I just needed to find it. I always explain people like this. Punk rock's that kid that came up to me at school and tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, let's be friends. That's what I think of punk rock. And that's why it's like, why I bleed it so much, because that was the first time I ever stood up to my abusive stepfather.
Yeah.
And that's what got me, to realize what I was going through wasn't correct. And I'm not supposed to go through that. I don't have to go through this. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, just the understanding of individuality, granted, I was a lot more, like, I'm not as aggressive as I was when I was younger, but it's just to stand up for yourself, and to be an individual and to say, fuck you. I don't give a fuck what you think. You can say whatever you want about me. You don't know who I am. You never had a conversation with me.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know what I'm like? You're going off exterior. You don't know anything about me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that, I've taken that with me, even today as a 34-year-old, man, just walking the earth today, I still feel that way. It's like, people can say whatever the fuck they want about you. But the thing is like, most of those people don't know who you are.
100%.
They never had a dialogue with you.
100%.
You know what I mean? And that's what I understood with punk,
Yeah.
And so this is what I knew how real punk was. Like how real and how solid everything was. It was 2004. I was 16 years old, right? And GBH and Circle Jerks came to town, right? And I remember I had cheer practice that night. I was like, fuck, I'm ditching cheer practice. And I ditched cheer practice to go see GBH and Circle Jerks.
By the way, first time that's ever been said in the history of anything ever.
Ditch cheer practice to go see.
I ditched cheer. I said, "Fuck cheer." I'm standing up. I'm standing up to cheerleading right now too. But so I remember. Oh, so yeah, Circle Jerks played first, and then GBH played second. GBH is the band I've seen the most as far as like live shows. GBH holds the record of how many times I've seen them. And then, so obviously, if you don't know, Keith Morris, the lead singer of Circle Jerks, was the original vocalist for Black Flag. And I remember they closed with a Black Flag song. They closed with Nervous Breakdown, which was like a song that I was like, all those lyrics, yes, just matched with it. The Nervous Breakdown, yes, all of it right there with it. And I remember what was different about this show is that there was barricades, which I thought was kind of weird because all the shows I had been to, all the punk shows I've been to had no barricades. So it's just everybody just, jumping and doing the thing. And I remember he said, "Come up and sing it if you want." And then they start playing that riff, start off with. And then I remember I hopped over the barricade, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get tackled by a security guard, right? And he's like holding me down, squeezing me, holding me down. I think we even broke like maybe a speaker or something. We broke something because he tackled me pretty hard.
Yeah.
And he's holding me down, and all of a sudden I just see his head like bobbing like that. And he's being punched. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? And I just hear, "Get the fuck off him, get the fuck off him." And the dude finally gets off of me. And then a hand reaches out, and it was Keith Morris from the Circle Jerks. And he pulled me up on stage, and I'm singing over his shoulder. And I remember he looked over and was like, and just gave me the mic and let me finish the song. Yeah. And that's when I knew that community, or just like, just how real punk like was to like other people, like, or like how it is. It's like, it we don't give a fuck who you are. You know what I mean? You're down with this music. You like this music. We all feel some type of way about some shit in our lives. And that's what brings us here, together. And that's when I knew that solidified every belief I had in punk right there, Dude. Yeah. And that was the thing. It was like, it was everything I needed, growing up to get out of that hectic home.
Yeah.
To really try to discover, myself, like, and also like punk rock, like to me, it all like, it's like, yeah, we all like, love this thing, we love this music, we love coming to do these shows, but at the end of the day, you got to think for yourself. And that's what I love about it. It's not like, hey, we need to think alike. Hey, we need to be on the same page with this. It's like, no, you got to think for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why I just love it so much. It's like a Bible to me.
I love that. All right. So now, how did the Buzzcocks make their way into your life?
So this is the first time I heard the Buzzcocks. Or sorry, not the Buzzcocks.
Yeah, no,
first time I heard. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. First time I heard Buzzcocks. The radio station back home in Arizona used to do a punk hour every night at 9 p.m. from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. And so it just played different punk, punk bands through that hour. And that's when I first heard Buzzcocks. And I remember, like, this is how I think of it with Buzzcocks. It has to be in the top top 5 or maybe even top 3 punk bands of all time. Just because, you know, they were doing something for everyone that can get involved with it. Anybody can get into that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's how do I explain it? It's like, okay, I could take my mom to see Sebastian Maniscalco. I can't take my mom to see Bill Burr.
No. I get it.
Does that make
exactly
sense?
What you're saying. 100%.
So it's like, so my mom wouldn't go see Black Flag.
Yeah, but she can see the Buzzcocks.
She can sing Buzzcocks. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. Because that's, I mean, that was like, dude, this is really my first, like, you know, merry-go-round with Buzzcocks. And I wasn't expecting it to be this melodic. I was expecting like thrash punk band, not these really well put together songs. So, I could see.
That's the beautiful thing is that just how well put together the songs on, the melodies and like the sing-alongs and like, you know, the backup vocals of, you know, just the you know, I don't know the technical term for that, but I mean it's just mapped out so well, but you still feel that punk energy. You just like I explained earlier, like the Sebastian Burr thing, you still get the comedy. Mm-hmm. You're still gonna get the comedy. It's just different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're still getting comedy. So like that like with Black Flag, in comparison to you know Buzzcocks, just for you know the story, is you still get the punk.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, but you know, even though their lyrics are pretty fucking vulnerable lyrics, especially when it comes to love. You know, we all feel love. We all feel it. You know, that was like, I mean, some of those songs make me think about like a specific period of time when I was, you know, I had a crush on the girl that got me in a cheer. You know, we never came together or anything at all.
Still
but
time.
It happens. Yeah, still time.
There's a 30-year rule. If you go to your 30th reunion and you're still there, you can still do it. No, you can still
time,
do it.
dude.
That's
you never know.
funny.
I know you're in a relationship, but you know who knows what the future holds, bro. Anything can get all
You'll
skadoodled.
still be high-fiving if you go with the prom.
Yeah, dude. If you hook up with her. If you hook up with her at 80, I'd be like, he fucking did it. He did it. Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, her pom-poms are all gray.
Oh,
threw her into a pipe right onto his dick. Yeah. I don't even know cheerleading terms. Are they like cheerleading terms?
That's a good one. That's a good one. No, that's good.
I know Gabby Butler, and that's it, dude. That's all I know.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Thank you.
But yeah. You guys are the first on side note, you guys are the first to ever say that to me. Everyone else is like, hey man, you know, sometimes you just don't win, you know. You guys are like,
I'm on the other side of that equation. I can give you lots of bases of like it happened 20 years later and people were like, okay, that's still credit. I'm still putting that on the refrigerator.
Bro, Morty's been slow playing this one girl for 36 years.
36 years.
36
I'm not,
years.
Any day. I'm starting to wear her down a little bit. I think once her second husband dies, I think I got some real traction.
You know, you might not be able to afford a 2021 Mercedes Benz. You may not be able to afford a 2021 Mercedes Benz, but if you wait and get it in 2050, you can get it on the low. You know what I'm saying? So just wait shit out, dude.
It's not old, it's a classic.
Gosh, that made me laugh so hard. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, you were pointing out.
Like no one's everyone's like, oh, well, you know, hey, sometimes you don't win, you know.
We're gonna dive in the record in a second. I want to ask you something because the one thing that you notably absent in that, and if anybody's a punk rock fan, is you didn't talk about a band like Bad Brains or the Bad Brains, if you want to go that way, or Fishbone. Bands. I'm saying is bands with Black members that were. I mean, Fishbone's a little more traditional ska, and with it some punk rock and the energy. But Bad Brains is proto like punk.
Yeah. Like, So yeah, that Bad Brains didn't come yet for me. That's why it was the intro was Black Flag, you know what I mean? And then Bad Brains came like shortly once I like continued to climb that. And you know, what's dope about a band like Bad Brains, you know, for me, like it wasn't necessarily like the fact that they were black. It was just like I think it was just the fact that this is like, I saw the bigger picture of like, oh, they're everybody's accepted in this world.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, there's no specific to it. That's what I saw it as. It's like, fuck yeah, you know, we're all here.
Yeah.
We're all like this, you know, because like, you know, and I say that because, you know, my stepfather, he didn't like any of my friends. You know what I mean? Like, you know, one of my best friends, you know, he didn't like him because he was like, no, they can't come in the house because they're white, shit like that. You know, to where I was like, man, what does it matter? You know what I mean? Like what, like why? You know, like what does that matter? You know, and that's what the world of punk rock showed me. It was like that doesn't fucking matter. Everybody's welcome in this house. You know what I mean? So like that's how I felt about like the Bad Brains. It was just like, oh, it was more like we're all here. You know what I mean? Not saying all lives matter or anything like that. I'm just kidding.
So you heard it here first, people. Shapel Lacey said down with BLM, ALM. He just got that tattooed right next to his lip forever tattoo, bro.
He's not even telling Nazi punks to fuck off. He's like,
Yeah,
wait,
dude,
not all y'all.
like,
there's some good Nazi punks on
there's
both
some
sides.
good Nazi punks out there.
Funny. That's funny.
You know,
By the way, I texted my friend Charlie Paulson from Goldfinger because I was like, yo, you just got to shout out because he's a good friend of mine.
Oh, hell yeah.
So he wanted to say
that's
thank
amazing.
you. He wanted to say thank you.
Morty's the Dean
Tell him
Del
I said
Rey
thank you.
Morty's the Dean Del Rey of music. He knows everybody. Like he
like,
knows
fucking
shout out to Greg Henson.
Everybody, dude. Every episode we've done.
Oh shit.
Dude, every episode we've done, Shapel, we've been reading. So the producer of this was Jim Hickelboffen, who I actually used to play at the Kibitz Room with, and Hickelboffen created the Farfisa. And you're like, what?
Oh yeah, Farfisa.
So
then shout out, yeah.
So
Monique
well, because no, keep going. Yeah, please keep going if you have more.
No.
So, you know, when I think of the song, you know, Ever Fallen in Love, you know, by Buzzcocks, it really hits home, you know, to what I was feeling. But, you know, because I really like this girl, but you know, everything about it was not going to work. You know what I mean? There's just no way. I was too much of a dirty punk. Like she was like the popular girl in school, cheerleader. You know,
hey dude,
very well put together.
Bro, time out. Fucking don't forget, man. Fucking I can really fuck his name up, but Molly Ringwald at the end of Breakfast Club hooked up with Judd Nelson, and he was the dirty punk dude. You know what I mean?
I never seen Breakfast Club.
You never
what?
Seen... All right, let's stop the show for 2 hours.
All right, we're gonna be back, guys. We're taking a break. We're doing Breakfast Club and the Pretty in Pink and the fucking. Oh my God, Shapel!
Wow.
Jesus, you lost all credibility.
A lot of history.
You had me, dude. You had me. I was Team Shapel Lacey. You converted me to All Lives Matter, and then immediately you lost me, and now I'm BLM till I die. And
there you go.
Oh,
no, watch it. First of all, just watch it. I get it. Watch it, but yeah, dude, it's all possible. So I get.
You're comparing my life to a movie.
Well, I mean, if you've known anything about John Hughes, man, he writes from the heart and he knows the teens of the 80s. Am I right, Morty? Because you were one of them.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. I was gonna go on a tangent, but like, we should.
We gotta get to the record. We gotta fucking.
We go. Yeah.
So wait, so here, because I mean, I don't want to cut you off if you have more to say, but I feel like we're gonna get some more of this out as we keep going through the songs.
Yeah.
Because go ahead.
Well, I just, the thing about it, like, you know, the lyrics of Ever Fallen in Love, you know, pretty like, if you really look at those lyrics, they're a little brutal, but the way they deliver the lyrics, you know, through the singing and through the instruments, you know, it doesn't make you feel as bad. So like, if I can explain this as best as I can, it's like, I could sing that song and still smile at the same time. But like, if I'm singing Black Flag's Depression, like, it's like, I gotta have this, you know, this thing, you know, behind it. But that's the beautiful thing about Buzzcocks. It was like, hey, we feel this too, but we're just going to deliver it this way.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like they found like a happy medium. You know, I think right? If that makes any sense.
I guarantee you when the show's over, you and I are going to talk for about 20 minutes after, because I don't want to take any more time out away from the record, but you know, punk rock, like hip hop, like any other form of music, where you got to it. So you already came to it a few generations past these people. These people are a couple years older than I am. So Rollins and Morris and Hetson, and these guys are a few years older than I am. And they were the first wave. They were the like West Coast wave for the most part. So remember, we're going to break it down, but remember, we're looking at ground zero as being like 77, let's say 76. These guys didn't really start until 80, 81. And that was the West Coast. That was the West Coast reaction to what they knew as punk rock music, which is incredibly different than DC. Than it coalesces to a degree, but you know, because I'm from Los Angeles and I was around at the time, and I remember kids going to the Olympia and like the Olympic Auditorium and all these punk rock shows. I'm 52, so I remember going to like I was not the right age for it, and I even still saw a lot of punk rock stuff. But the guys who would have been like my older brother would have been. You know, the guys were like, yo, we're going downtown. And I was like, oh shit, they like kill each other and bite each other and safety pins. So, you know, GBH and Black Flag, they were things that you would say like, let me compare it now. It was almost like saying like, I'm really into, I'm really into like Lil Nas or whatever his name, Lil Nas X. But dude, Biggie, and you know, big difference between their times on Earth, but it's both hip hop. They're both hip hop.
Yes.
But there's that thing like where like British punk rock, and that's the reason we'll get into punk rock. We'll get into Buzzcocks because you know, Sex Pistols. There's a very definitive age of of era of this music, and what they were influenced by. You know, punk rock in the early '80s, late '70s, Germs, Fear, Black Flag. They had British and everything as like the starting point. But you know, these British dudes didn't have punk. They got the Ramones when the Ramones went to go visit, and that was their big. That was their like, oh shit! But the Ramones were basically doing Shangri-La's revved up. They were doing girl group music revved up. New York Dolls were doing girl group music revved up. You know what I mean? So there's when you talk about 6-7 years, that's a huge leap in music and everything. And we're lucky because we got the same thing. You know, you see kids nowadays and they're like, oh, I love Michael Jackson and the Clash. That's what the 80s were. And I was like, no. I didn't go to a disco. I didn't go and hear Michael Jackson and the Clash necessarily at the same time. Yeah. Most people like until Combat Rock. Those weren't like, you know, the Horizon line starts doing this and you're like, you know, Korn and Right Said Fred. Dude, everybody was listening to those together. It was like, no.
That's the beauty of and here, bringing it back to Buzzcocks, that's the beauty of Buzzcocks, because I tell you what, you know, they are from Manchester, just like Oasis, but they were definitely a big inspiration to Oasis, but completely different, sounds there. But like you could tell the energy is there, and I think that's the beauty of a lot of music. Is like when you said Lil Nas X and you said Biggie, there's an energy behind it. You know, not saying everybody is going to connect. Not everybody can connect Buzzcocks and Oasis. You know what I mean? Not everybody's going to connect it like that. But if you take the time to like dig and really understand that and listen, especially, you know, this specific album, you know, I mean, I don't think it only just inspired a band like Oasis. There's more out there. It could have inspired, you know, some of these like bands like Newfound Glory, you know, that more pop punk.
Dude, I hear there's a track where I think we're going to mention that I hear the Strokes. I'm like, this is the Strokes 100%.
Well, let's tear. Yeah, I think you want to tear it in.
Let's get. Well, all right. So, do you want to catch us up? Because everything you're saying is gold. I feel like it's going to come out anyway as we just get in. There's somebody in the Fleece Army right now. Like, just get to Orgasm Addict at least.
Songs. So
So Morty, give us a little little skadoodle as tight as you can.
This is released on September 25th of 1979 on IRS and United Artists Records and produced by Martin Rushent and Martin Hannett, which names that you'll have remembered from the New Order episode that we just did. This is a US compilation. This is the US compilation album by the British punk pop rock band. In Manchester, England in the mid-70s, Bolton Institute of Technology student and singer-songwriter Howard Trafford put an ad in the college paper looking for musicians who also liked the Velvet Underground song Sister Ray. It was replied to by guitarist and fellow student Peter McNeish. Trafford came from the world of electronic music, while McNeish had previously played rock. By late 1975, they started a band with a bassist and a drummer that coalesced into Buzzcocks in early 76, at about the same time that Trafford became Howard Devoto and McNeish became Pete Shelley. This was also when Devoto and Shelley went to London to see an early gig by the Sex Pistols, loved it, and arranged for them to play 2 gigs with Buzzcocks opening. The first was at the Lesser Free Trade Hall in Manchester later that June. This is what I brought up in the New Order episode. This is ground zero of post-punk. That one show that they did was the one that New Order was at, or well, Joy Division, they were at, Morrissey was at, the dude from Simply Red, Mick from Simply Red was at. It was literally Manchester. Go watch 24-Hour Party, people, and you'll catch that'll catch you.
Let me write that
down. So they go to play this gig. They're supposed to open for them for 2 gigs, but when the show arrives, the rest of the band drops out. So Howard and Pete just had to sit there and basically watch this punk rock. Their one moment in time became this huge episode, this huge thing. So soon they get bassist Steve Diggle and drummer John Marr, and debuted this lineup opening for the Sex Pistols at the second Manchester show in July. In September of 76, the band performed at the equally famous Sex Pistols manager Malcolm McLaren produced 100 Club Punk Festival in London with the Sex Pistols and soon to be legendary artists like The Clash, The Damned, and Susie and the Banshees. By the end of the year, they did what was almost unheard of then, which we now know in the DIY ethos. They started their own independent record label to record and release a 4-track EP called Spiral Scratch. The songs were rough, raw, repetitive, and snarling. But Devoto quickly lost interest as punk's freshness became stale, unoriginal, and commonplace. So he quit and soon formed the post-punk band Magazine. Shelley took over as lead vocalist and main songwriter. Bassist Steve Diggle switched to lead guitar, and they acquired first Garth Smith and then Steve Garvey on bass, not the Dodger from 77. In contrast to Devoto's obvious sneering punk voice, Shelley had a youthful and chirpy presence that seemed to usher in a fresher and friendlier era. The song still had manic punk energy and expressed anger, dissatisfaction, unrequited love, and unsatisfied desires. But the songwriting had classic pop construction. They were soon signed to a major label on August 16th, 1977. For those of you that don't remember, that was the day Elvis Presley died, and started releasing comparatively quirky and popular singles, and around 2 studio albums. Meanwhile, other Manchester bands they influenced, like the Fall and Joy Division, and which became New Order, had evolved into pioneering post-punks. Then they released this retrospective collection. It assembled the A-sides of their first 8 singles in order on side 1 and all the B-sides on side 2, and was originally intended to introduce them to the US ahead of a tour there. While it wasn't even released in the UK until the band was about to break up a couple years later and didn't chart in either country, it's since been heralded as a punk masterpiece. The band broke up in 1981 following a dispute with their record label, and all the members pursued solo and band projects before reuniting in 1989 and eventually releasing 6 more records and continuing to tour. Tragically, Pete Shelley died in 2018, but Steve Diggle took over lead vocals and with a new guitarist keeps the band active and still drawing huge crowds. And like I said, the only good thing about being older, I got to see these guys on one of the reunions at the Viper Room standing 4 feet away from me.
Oh, shit.
But I mean, that's like I said, the age you are, right? When people go like, oh, look, they filmed the Sunset Strip in the 60s. It wasn't the 60s when they filmed it. It was that day. So what I'm saying to you is take pictures, video, everything. At one point in 30 years, people are going to look back on the mini mall in Mesa, Arizona that you hung out at, and they're going to go, shit, I didn't live at the best time to be alive. That's when I should have been alive. So everything that you are in history right now, even if you don't know it, enjoy it.
No, wow, really well said, Morty. Wow, that really, because we forget, especially being here in Los Angeles, I'm such a hair metal band dude. And, we're always me smoking cigars, me and Burr on top of the Comedy Store. And I'll look out and be like, God, if we could have been here in like 87, 86, like all the bands are walking around, the girls. And it's like, nah, that, it was probably cool. But, did they have Chick-fil-A? No, they didn't have Chick-fil-A back then. You know what I mean? Like we do now.
I was there. Yeah, but we had an Astor Burger on Sunset, almost down the street from the Roxy. We had a few cool things.
That would have been.
Yeah,
fucking...
there was, and then we got Fat Burger on the first run. So
yeah, I think everything you just said makes perfect sense about this band, and especially what you said to Shapel about the Burr and the Sebastian Maniscalco comparison. I love when I'm expecting one thing and I get something completely different. I really enjoyed this record, and I enjoyed it right from the beginning. So let's dive right into it. First song is called Orgasm Addict. I'm not going to play a lot of music because we don't have a lot of time, but I feel like we have to display the best and most literal opener ever. Go ahead and play, Adam. Go ahead.
Well, you tried it just for once, found it all right for kicks, but now you find out that it's a habit that sticks, and you're an orgasm addict. You're an orgasm addict.
All right, that's enough. I think I love this song because I know so many people that are orgasm addicts, myself included. Couldn't last night because I got too high, but I tried. So this is the first major label single, is a 2-minute tribute to masturbation. Shelley co-wrote with, correct me if I'm wrong, Morty, Devoto. Did I get it right?
Yep.
With Devoto before he quit. Punk was already routinely banned by the BBC at the time, but this still caused a bit of a panic. That controversy also extended to the single's bold, do-it-yourself, duochromatic sleeve depicting a collage of a female torso whose head is a clothes iron. Adam, please find that for me right now.
With the nipples.
Wait, what
happened?
Cut out. The cover of the 45.
So yeah, where he's gonna pull it up right now, but basically, because the BBC had already been banning stuff, they put out this sleeve of the record that has this woman as like her female torso. I guess there's nipples, and then the head is.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Oh, the cover. Yeah.
It's a pretty. You'll see it on T-shirts a lot. You'll know it when you see. You'll be like, oh, that's the Buzzcocks shirt.
Morty, do you have
Buzzcocks?
Do you have anything else to add about this?
Yeah. So. Very controversial, but even Pete Shelley later looked at it and he was like, it's embarrassing. It's the only one I listen to and shudder. So, you got to look at the folly of youth. This is also the only single that featured Garth Smith before Steve Diggle moved to guitar. And then after Howard left, how's this for a punk rock thing? They kicked him out for being unreliable. That's sort of a
really.
Oh, there nice, it is, dude. I love that.
That's amazing.
That's it. Yeah. That's great art. I mean, I get it, but I mean, it's cool. It's like
I need that shirt.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's Andy Warhol-esque. Am I right? Am I wrong?
He wasn't as much a collagist, but yeah.
Dude, speaking of punk rock,
the tone, I guess.
Speaking of punk rock, I don't know if you guys have seen Glenn Danzig directed a horror movie, and the mouth nipples on that picture. There's a scene in it. I watched it with Big J Okerson where this woman has eyeball nipples and they start crying. Everybody watch it. It's on Shudder. It's the worst piece of shit you've ever seen.
Oh, it's horrible.
I was excited to. But it's good. It's good horrible. Do you know what I mean? It's good, so bad that it's good.
Did his mother like it?
Oh, my mom
Glenn Danzig.
Mother.
Is there anything you want to add to this song, Shapel, or you have anything to say?
Well, just the start of it itself, like with those drums, Morty, I saw you like mimicking the drums, like that right there, just sets it off, and then for like everything matches that song. Musically, like instrument wise, as far as that goes. And it just, of course, as he got older, he's going to feel like, oh gosh, what the hell was I thinking? But but like anyone around that time or that age, we all know what we were thinking at that kind of age, whenever he particularly wrote that, whatever age he was. But you feel it, and it's like, fuck yeah, and it's weird that it like, that was a time where like that something like that be banned. I mean, do you think we can pull that off today?
Well, now we're just be, hi, I'm Morty, and I'm an orgasm. I'm an
orgasm. Oh yeah, that's what
they'd be like, you could have that seat. I'm not even trying to. I'm not even trying to.
Yeah. I'm working on my fourth step. Oh, sure. Jesus Christ, you're at your fourth step. My God.
Yeah, you've been on your fourth step in the bathroom about 12 years, dude.
Yeah, dude.
What's so funny though is that they like. When you think about the BBC banning like stuff, they were really paying attention to those lyrics.
Oh yeah,
they were just like, "I'm appalled." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
not a lot of hidden meaning. What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by orgasm addict?
It's like Come Together by the Beatles. But
by the way, the corporate board of the BBC at that time was probably just the cast of Downton Abbey. So it was like, oh, we can't have this up here. Orgasm addicts, I just don't know. Have me some more plum pudding, what wouldn't you? I can't agree more, but I think this is why the band is so fun, is because they can have a song like that, and then they can, like you said, there's songs about love, there's songs about everything. I mean, it's really, what I love about punk is that it can be tongue in cheek as well as serious, and there is some truth to Orgasm Addicts. Depending, I mean, I don't know, Morty, if you know any more about where his head was at besides.
I'm gonna get to that because I want to reveal it slowly because I feel like there's some great.
Oh, there's something written on it.
There's some, there's some more cool. So I'm going to give you some cool information in a minute.
Okay,
Ooh.
Cool. Let's move on. Let's move on to what do I get? I want to play the intro because I got to ask a question. Play the intro. Come on, Adam. Stop jerking off, you orgasm addict.
Orgasm Adam.
Come on, you got it, Adam.
I just wanna love her like any other. What do I get? I only want a friend who stayed to the end. What do I get? What do I get? Oh, what do I get?
All right, kill it. What do I know this from? Why do I know this song prior to going into this podcast? Please help me. Was this in Jackass?
They might have used it in a lot of stuff has gotten co-opted for commercials and movies and stuff. And because this music is so, it's called punk rock, but it owes a bigger debt a lot to the Ramones than it does to like necessarily people that couldn't play their instruments and were just getting into punk rock. This is so well constructed pop music. It's incredible. It's like the early Beatles.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, to add to that, like, well, think about that. Even that Sex Pistols album, Never Mind the Bullocks, is just like hit after hit after hit after hit. You know what I mean? Like, in very catchy riffs. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same. I mean, with what do I get? Granted, he's not singing like Johnny Rotten or anything like that, but but it still has that same, like just it's the feel. The biggest thing is the feel with these guys.
Yeah, you're a lot of dissatisfaction put into words, but also he sings, not exactly because we've done one of the episodes, but he sounds more in the style of like a Buddy Holly, like a revamped Buddy Holly.
I hear that.
Than he does. Devoto, if you ever listen to the early stuff, Devoto is much more of what you think of as a punk. When you think of punk, it's like, God damn, like a spitting and British. And this one is like, Pete's not pretending to be anything he isn't. He's a sweet looking little dude and he's singing like that. So it's a lot closer to what would have been like, maybe T-Rex punked up a little more and then started, which they would have been listening to because that's the age he would have been.
Yeah, to go off that vocally, like, you never hear a rasp or just a like a, it's like, well, this is my voice. He's probably, some people are like, oh, I don't know how to sing that way and it hurts my throat, but this feels comfortable, so I'll sing it this way. And that's what's fucking, like, I don't know. I just feel like they really, didn't follow a specific rule that you had to be to like fit into the punk genre.
Well, they were at ground zero of punk rock, which is the thing that, it's hard to imagine, but there was no punk rock. The Damned are credited with the first like punk rock single, but they're all within like 6 months, and then it's like right after like Sex Pistols. So all this stuff is, this is, we didn't call ourselves punk. That's what this movement was called. We were just the guys who did the next thing after glam rock. You know what I mean? Like, so that became what we call punk and, like this kind of stuff, but it wasn't, by the time you like Minor Threat and, all these guys, there was more of that by the time what we're talking about, Dead Kennedys and the Germs. And, that was considerably, years later, that was punk rock. They knew that it was punk, that had the anarchy.
The drum production, the production, like when you listen to the drums on this record, if you listen to some of those Minor Threat albums, you could hear similar, style as far as like, the way that snare is. It's not a poppy snare. It's more of like the snare is kind of like I don't know what I'm trying to say. Maybe the snare fits closer to remember one of the toms or whatever.
Martin Hannett, the producer of this, is the dude that did Joy Division and New Order and all those Manchester bands. He's the guy that gets credited for a lot of that sound. So it's almost like a confluence of that era. You know what I mean? It's kind of rad to be like, that guy that did Joy Division, everything else you think of post-punk, he also did these other, and Martin Rushent, he also did these other things. So there's a lot of reason to it. And once again, they didn't know these records were going to be around for this is 77, 78, around. Remember, the Beatles had only been broken up at this point, like, 6, 7, 8 years, if that, by the time it happened, so nobody knew. Lennon was, all the Beatles were still alive. None of the Beatles were even 40 yet. So it's like, it's sort of hard to put in, you got to imagine. That's
crazy.
It. Yeah. You got to imagine it.
I didn't realize how deep it went. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So, so there was a lot of, you can say the punk rock you grew up with, which is started with aggression and then went into music, was the other way around. This started with music and then found their aggression.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't just go, I could just pick up an instrument. Well, some of them did, but that's,
So this was their top 40 debut. This peaked at number 37. And I think it really does represent their trademark of Pete's unabashedly yearning lyrics and undeniably poppy melodies over aggressive riffs and churning rhythm. Can you tell that came out of my own head, or did someone write that for me? Because that, I mean, I am a G. I am the Siskel and Ebert of music right now.
2 thumbs.
Morty, anything to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, the longing and frustration that you hear in Pete's stuff, it's very, and as I said before, people forget, because this is lumped in with punk rock, just how well constructed these songs are, the complexity of the actual songs, the chord structures. These are really like the original Kinks, Who, I said the Beatles. These are like those early songs. If you listen to those first 3 or 4 records by those guys specifically, that's what
the Kinks. Like. You said the Kinks. Is that what you're saying?
Like, if you listen to like the first 3 or 4 Kinks records, and if you listen even early Beatles, they were 2.5 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute songs that were like everything. I want her. She wants me. She doesn't want me. She loves you. I wish I loved her. I want to hold your hand. I'm not getting it. She was just 17. It's all of it, and it's very British, but also just the Who, especially deeply unsatisfied. My generation can't explain. Kids are all right. Anyhow.
Substitute.
Yeah, it's want. It's desires. It's I'm not getting. It's angry young man stuff. It's right at that perfect age of that dissatisfied youth. So, and then even the next song, which we don't even have to get into, I don't mind, is pure pop punk, like perfect, well-constructed short songs.
I agree. No, I totally agree. I love that song, but I want to get to Ever Fallen in Love, because this is the one that you mentioned. Let's play a little bit. Play 30 seconds and fuck it. I mean, you're right. Everything you mentioned about what I expected of punk rock, what I expected this to be. I mean, if this song didn't completely throw that idea out the window, I mean, this is the harmonies. There's real harmonies on this. There's a real chorus. There is a real song that, like, no wonder this is the Buzzcocks' most well-known song. It's incredible, and the story is even more incredible. It came about when the band was on tour in Edinburgh. And let me take it again. It came about when the band was on tour in an Edinburgh hotel TV lounge watching the 1955 movie musical Guys and Dolls. And as Shelley recalled, this line leaped out: "Have you ever fallen in love with someone you shouldn't have?" The next day, the van stopped outside a post office, and I wrote the lyrics there. Why do you love this song so much, Shapel?
Because it's just as much as I needed Black Flag, I needed this just as much as well. You know what I mean? And so with that being said, like I needed to have that kind of like to get rid of the that I was constantly listening to. You know, I needed this as well. But it also kept me in the punk rock world. If that makes any sense.
Makes perfect sense.
You know, because after a while,
dude, you can't just listen to Rage Against the Machine all day long. Even when even when I'm doing the podcast, I have to break up the albums. I know Morty gets mad at me because I'll reach out and I'll be like, dude, this album in 4 months is so good, because I can't just listen to one record over and over and over again, because I take energy. So if the album is just fucking gaga 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 oi, and then that's all I listen to all day, my day is going to reflect that. So you have to switch it up and put on Miles Davis Sketches of Spain every once in a while, which broke this up. Which I need right now, because you're getting ready for a big move. Like, this isn't the music I should be listening to while I'm dealing with fucking, Box Brothers and friends or whatever, paying $400 to send a painting that costs $300. So yeah, dude, it's like you got to break it up.
And oddly enough, like I explained a little bit earlier, like, even based off the lyrics, I know what the lyrics are, but I feel good listening to it. Like I'm smiling, singing, and I'm falling in love. You know what I mean? Like just and moving my head in a way but I still have a jean jacket vest on. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I feel that the puzzle pieces are there. You know what I mean? Like
you're saying it. Don't you see me and Morty both smiling right now? We're both just like,
I'm smiling because I also know the next bit of information is going to put some more puzzle pieces.
All right, we'll do it. Go ahead, drop it. Don't tease us.
No, you'll like it. If you've
fact
noticed,
tease.
I'm a fact tease. I tried it just for once. I found it all right for kicks. If you've noticed, there's no specific gender pronouns beyond you and me. So that was Shelley's intention. So for those who don't know, Pete was candidly bisexual in public, but he wrote this for his longtime lover, Frances Cookson. Although it doesn't cast Frances in a great light, which you'll notice, it's really, I mean, like you said, this happy as fuck songs, but they're really like, you're not coming through for me. Then there's later songs where it's like, I don't even think you like me. What's to like, and though. So Shelley later added, I tried to be as gender neutral as possible in writing songs, because for me, I could use the same song for either sex.
Yeah.
So I think that's too, it obviously, I'm sure Morrissey later on, there's not a lot of people that remember, they're right in between glam rock, which flirted and openly sort of messed with bisexual. David Bowie came out and said he was bisexual. Elton John in 1976 nobody wanted to even say they were gay yet. They just said, I'm bisexual. Because they knew if they just said gay, that was it. So they kind of went bisexual. You kind of went, all right, he gets a pass because I love those first 3 albums or whatever.
Wow, I know this is that just hit me because I think about when Frank Ocean put out his first song, or whatever, like that big hit. He gosh, I forgot the name.
The one is or even Lil Nas X would these
guys and I was like, wow, like in learning that, it's like, whoa, it just kind of hit me like, I was
universality. Heartbreak does not, even though it looks like gay dudes are all ripped and having the best time ever. Heartbreak is hard. I'm a dude. I've had my heart broken. Imagine 2 dudes with their heart broken at the same time.
You know how I know, Morty? You know how I know you're not gay though, Morty?
Nobody likes me.
No, you're not ripped, bro.
I'm not. I would be almost a
shizzle.
I'd be a ferret. I think is what I do.
You are the ferret.
And by the way, in 1987, because the year I graduated,
that's the year I was born.
I know. So there you go. The year I graduated high school, Fine Young Cannibals actually had a UK top 10 hit with this, and it was in the Jonathan Demme movie Something Wild.
Peter, you need to when editing this, you need to add in right now. She drives me crazy. Like no one else.
No, their version of this is very much like that. But remember, they had 2 guys in the band from the Specials, so like they were pedigreed also.
And Fine Young Cannibals.
Yeah.
Bro,
The guitar player and the bass
Chappelle,
player.
from doing this podcast for the last almost 3 years, dude, they're so like, they're all fucking each other, dude. Every band, every producer, it's like, you'd be so surprised how connected every single thing is, dude.
I'm sorry, sorry, of the beat, English beat.
Oh,
the
you
beat,
bastard, you fucking
no, it's just,
back tease.
no, because nobody calls them the beat in America. They call them English beat because there was another beat out here. So no, it was the two guys from the beat, not Ranking Roger and not Dave. So yeah, but that's still like they went on to this and people were just like, Fine Young Cannibals. And you're like, oh, these guys just had a bunch of hits like 5 years ago.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Everybody's happy nowadays. This is based on, I'm going to fuck this up, Aldous Huxley. Did I get that right?
Huxley. Remember we talked about this on the other episode. And
Which
you talked
one?
about the drug. Remember we talked about the drug in Brave New World. We just did it like two shows ago.
Does this, and I'd like you to find this out, Adam or Morty, if you already know, is this, the Brave New World is also the album title of a Richard Ashcroft album. I think it was his first solo record.
I mean, I'm sure it's a famous thing. Yeah,
I wish we could do, like, I should do fucking Patreons of like my favorite Brit pop albums and just bring on, like, because there's only one Oasis. I'd love to have you on to talk Oasis, Chappelle, and I'd love to talk about Stone Temple Pilots, and I'd love to fucking do a deep dive in like the Verve, man.
Oh, it was Soma.
The Verve.
Soma from Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh,
That's
yes.
the name of the drug.
Yes.
That was the thing, the Aldous Huxley novel. Yeah.
All right, so Aldous Huxley.
Oh, Soma's that old drug, huh?
Yeah, well, that's
but Soma's.
It became
Somas are like
Somas
are depressant that it's basically a sleeping pill muscle relaxer that my old drug dealer Larry used to take when I'd meet him in downtown LA. And if he took a Soma, I wouldn't be able to get my drugs because he'd fall asleep right on the street corner of 5th and Broadway.
And it made his kisses sloppy.
Dude, I'm not lying. My first drug dealer in LA, if you watch that Cecil Hotel documentary, he's in it. He's not the old black guy that's talking throughout it, but the news report interviews Alvin Taylor. Alvin, he's probably still there. Best drug dealer I ever had. Old gay, bad kidney having Alvin Taylor.
I'm sure he's
I
alive.
miss him and I love him. He had horrible kidneys. He was always doing dialysis.
I'm sure.
All right, what am I talking about? All right, Brave New World, 1932 dystopian novel about a unified society devoid of culture and art, kept blissfully contented and unaware by drugs. One character says, I am free to have the most wonderful time. Everybody's happy nowadays. And as Shelley described the song's meaning, I've come to the idea that nothing exists. There is no world, or it doesn't really matter if there is. The way I'm affected by things is by the way which I want them to affect me. Ooh, this was the song I said sounds like the Strokes. Adam, play it. Kill it. Well, we got a second. I'm going to do this because I'm just going to pull it up, and Peter, you're going to play it
sound
later.
Like them. Let's remember that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, dude, of course. I mean, I'm not a
no. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it.
I'm not a dum-dum, bro.
I do but I do that all the time. I do that all the time where I hear that and I'm like, you forget how, first of all, how inspiring a lot of these bands are, and then how also the absorption rate of a lot of other bands. Listen to Television. Listen to
Television. Oh my! Yeah. My television shirt's hanging in the
here. This one. This sounds like the Strokes.
Sometime.
Play the clip again.
It's Sometime.
Play the clip again, Adam. Am I right or am I wrong, Pete?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. It's so funny when you said.
We're done. We don't need it, Adam.
When you said that, I knew exactly what Strokes song you were talking about.
Yeah. So what do you like about the song? What do you dislike? You have anything you want to add, or you got thoughts?
Well, I like the repetitive of the lyrics. I think it's is it life is illusion, an illusion, love is what does he say? Life is illusion. That was do you have the lyrics
I
up,
have
Adam?
it in front of me. No, I don't have it. And it's so funny, out of context, I'm having a hard time remembering it. Love is illusion, and love is
life is illusion. Love is a dream. Love is a dream.
Yeah. I want to say love. Love is real, but yeah.
No, he's not saying love is real. Marty, did you not hear the other breakdown of the songs earlier?
I'm asking Francis.
We're breaking down these lyrics the whole time. He goes, he says, love is real.
People write about,
No, it's in, you know what else, like, it's about Buzzcocks is hooks.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
And this song specifically, like, of their songs has, like, the better, like my favorite hook. You know what I mean? It's like, in you know, not everybody can write a hook to a song. You know what I mean? It's especially, you know, a punk rock song, you kind of just say whatever. You know, but the fact that they were able to bring out, like, everybody, like, that's so,
a little falsetto and
it's just so, little falsetto, a little so clever, and it's just like kind of teeters back and forth. Whatever, I don't know, for some reason, whenever I listen to Buzzcocks, it's always this for me.
It's happy. It's like happy, sad.
It's constantly the head movement.
Oh,
you know,
bro,
and like, you know, when I think of, like, great, like, hook writers, you have to put these guys, you know,
in punk, yes, in punk, yes. But listen, I'm not going to sit there. I don't want to say it. That I shouldn't have said it like that, because that sounds like I'm just dismissing them as, like, a punk band. You know, it's the kind of expectation that I got, where it's just very fulfilling. It's a very fulfilling album. I reached out to you immediately, Morty, when I listened to this, and I was like, oh, I like this a lot. Like, it was the same, you know, whereas like when we listened to Minutemen, which I loved, Minutemen, Double Nickel on the Dime, still one of my favorite records we've done on this podcast. It took a couple listens for me to really appreciate it. The second I heard this, I was like, oh, this is apple pie. This isn't, you know, like Angelo used to say, it's like, there's some comics that are pizza, and then there's some that are radishes. You know what I mean? Radishes are still good. This is apple pie. You don't have to do it, dude. You don't have to listen to this 2 or 3 or 4 times before it clicks. This clicks immediately. It's an immediate satisfaction. It's opiates. You get the high immediately. It's
immediately. Yes. I just was excited about that.
They weren't, you know, that's the thing we say about punk rock. There comes a time when you are, and I'm sure comedians have, you'll see a parallel in this. There are comedians that walk out and the expectation is this. I'm sure you go through this, and I don't mean this as a Black comedian. I'm saying is as a Black person who is a comedian, where you know that the thought process is not, you're going to come out and start talking about punk rock.
Mm-hmm.
So the tease is, I'm going to walk out and you're going to probably think this, or it's Josh, when you walk out, they're like tattoos. He's going to do like a Dean Del Rey, or like there'll be something aggressive, something abrasive. So there are people like that play against type. And then there are people that were like, what brought me into music in the first place, I assume, with like Pete Shelley and these bands, they loved pop music. They loved the girl group music of the 60s, Leslie Gore and all the, you know,
Leslie Gore.
Me.
Come on.
You know, they loved pop music. They loved, so I mean, dude, they were watching, let's not gloss over this. A punk band was on tour in Scotland and they were watching a movie musical at their hotel. Yeah. Let's just leave it at that. They weren't in there. Right. They weren't in their fucking.
Good point.
They weren't in their ripped, like they're throwing windows and TVs and shit. They were watching Guys and Dolls.
Should we watch Oklahoma after this? I was thinking
exactly.
The P
Adelaide said it best when she said, "Ever fallen in love with someone you shouldn't have?"
After the show, I was thinking, we instead of going to the after party, why don't we go see Arsenic and Old Lace at the London?
But I love that in an artist. You know what I mean? That could take that kind of, you know, jump into the world, like a world that just all worlds, and just get the inspiration. Jordan Peele
for staying within the Black culture. Jordan Peele to be able to be not even touch being Black, just being a comic through and through and through and through. And then suddenly his first directorial debut is this, like, you know, very, very like on the pulse of what's going on with race relations in America, horror movie. And you're like, Jordan Peele, and you watch it and you're like, holy shit, like this comic has the timing, has everything, and was able to apply that to a horror film.
There's this thing I believe in where you kind of have to drop the who's gonna make fun of me for listening to this or whatever, and like the things that you like because you like it. Don't like anything for anyone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it seems like, you know, based off of them going and watching music, it seems like they just genuinely liked that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's what brings out the best in an artist. You know, like you think of like a Kanye West, he probably agrees to so much, which is why he's able to put out what he's able to put out. You know what I mean? I think about with cheerleading. Why did I say yes to cheerleading? Because I was just like, fuck it, I like it. It's fun.
Because of that chick.
Yeah, it's because of that girl.
Who's that girl?
Yeah.
Contact us at PO Box.
but you know, like, yes, initially I got into it for her, but to continue on to do it for, you know, from high school to college, you know, all that stuff, to continue on, even though her and I never got together, you know, but to continue on to do it, it's you have a genuine like for something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you're able to push that out through your art. Like you said, like, yeah, when I walk on stage and I tell people I was a competitive cheerleader and then I do a whole bit about it. And then when I get off stage, people still go, so were you really a cheerleader?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, why of all things I can make up, why would that be the one?
Right. That was your yes and. That was your groundlings.
Yeah, why of all things?
Hilarious.
You know,
that's
so
great,
it is pretty interesting. I didn't realize that about them with the musicals. That's good.
Man.
That's
all right, Harmony in My Head.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So while Steve Diggle had a few early co-writing credits, this single that went to number 32 in the UK is likely his best known song. This is inspired by the scattered cinematic imagery of James Joyce's 1904 novel Ulysses, as well as walking around Manchester's newly built Arndale Centre, one of the first American-style malls in the UK. Oh, God, I can only imagine how fucking gash that looked. As Diggle recalled, it gave me a real sense of alienation. I wanted to walk down the street and hear the percolation of the crowds. That was the harmony. Life was never going to be sweet and nice, and it's not always doom and gloom. The harmony in my heart was the sound of the crowd. That's how real life is. You've been honest about dealing. Oh, sorry, never mind. That was the question. Yeah. So pick it up. No, that was because I forgot to separate that. That was my bad.
You also had harmony in my heart, just so you know.
Yeah. So I'll pick it up from here. Peter, so edit this. The harmony in my heart was the sound of the crowd. That's how real life is.
You said harmony in my heart again. It's harmony in my head.
Oh, fuck. The harmony, take it one more time. The harmony in my head was the sound of the crowd. That's how real life is. This might be my favorite on the record. Play the intro. Kill it for time. This is, I mean, maybe I'm not saying this is real punk, but this sounds like post-punk to me, man.
Well, he
Am
sounds
I right?
more punk. He's definitely that guy. He's not Pete Shelley.
Any thoughts, any feelings, Shapel, about this? Or you got anything to say?
My jaw just hit the floor on how he discovered where he got the inspiration to create that. And then it's funny listening to it now after just hearing that. Because when you listen to a song, it's like, you listen to it, you get it. But when you find what's behind it, like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it's the sound of the crowd. What?
Yeah.
And then you came up with that?
Yeah.
I mean, if I hear the crowd when I go out and do the show, like, I don't think I could create something that beautiful.
I mean,
that's insane.
But Shapel, how many, there's certain people that are so good at crowd work, and sometimes, and you included, because we're all, as long as you're present in the room and somebody does something or says something, or all the outdoor shows we had to do during COVID where suddenly there's a police helicopter in a car, it's like when you're present and then you can make that funny, which we all can because we're there, it becomes this beautiful thing. And then when you see someone like, and you know, Adam Ray, who I always think is great at crowd work, and Big J Okerson, like they get these hecklers and they can turn it into this enjoyable thing for everybody in the room.
True.
So
You're right.
So as long as, you know, he was present seeing that doom and gloom, he's present with the unruly crowds, and then he turned it into this. So
I like that comparison because I didn't understand it musically, because I'm like, how would anyone catch that? You know, but then when you bring it to the comedy sense, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, dude, it's a great song, man. This is you know, I so at this point in the record,
you said this one was your favorite.
This is, I think this doesn't matter because the next song we're going to talk about is my favorite moment on the record, but this is my favorite song on the record. I feel like, because this is already deep into the record. So by the time I got to this, I was like, man, like I'm really digging the Buzzcocks. I'm going to buy a t-shirt. I'm going to fucking I'm a fan. And now this is the one that I was like, as I was going through all the tracks, I was like, yeah, dude, this is my favorite. You don't tell me yours yet, because I'm going to ask you in a little bit.
And it's interesting because
I already told you.
Well, we'll do it again.
Steve, because Steve isn't the normal singer. This is the one that if you only heard this, you'd say like, oh, this sounds more like a real punk rock. This is what I expected punk rock to sound like.
Yeah.
And the reason is that growl, you know, that Steve's voice, that he specifically smoked 20 cigarettes before singing this so that he could get that, because he a little more in the Devoto sound of the voice. You know, Pete is decidedly, you know, like his poppy voice or whatever. He's got that. And I'm surprised you didn't bring this up, because maybe you just don't know, because it might be before your time. But Henry Rollins used this as the title of his radio show, was Harmony. I know you're a huge Rollins fan. I got to see him actually in '88 at the Bebop do poetry. And that set.
You saw his spoken word?
I saw spoken word in '88 at literally like a record store called the Bebop Cafe out in the Valley in like '88.
That's when he had the long hair.
And he kept pushing back. And he was like, so we're on tour with like Black Sabbath and like baby. And he's telling a story about the dude with his dick flopping on stage. And he's like, and I have to punch the guy in the face. And I'm like, I have the poster up, and my daughter grew up with the big Rollins poster on our staircase, amongst other things, the Emic, one of the spoken word one. Cause I adore his spoken word. I'm not even as much a fan of the punk rock stuff of his singing or his music, as much as I'll watch any spoken word he does. And his old show that used to be on, I forgot what
IFC.
AMC. That's one of the greatest. IFC. One of the, I forgot the name of it, but he had the greatest and he always let him play live, and he never cut him off. Dude, it was the great. Adam's already looking for it, but it's the greatest. It was like literally Rollins. If you guys get a chance to see him, forget that anything about punk, forget anything else you know about him. Go to see him and his spoken word. Like, go to watch any of his specials that are out there. Josh, you'll
I sent this to you, but this is, if you guys can see it, that's when I met Henry Rollins. Was he was roadieing for this man right here, because he was playing at Fort Minor in Washington D.C. So I saw Ian.
Ian.
And it was just the coolest shit ever, especially just seeing Henry Rollins just like kicking it.
Dude, I got to perform with him in 2019 at a rock festival.
I saw that.
Yeah, the Comedy Tent. And man, that was like, I've seen him speak like 3 times, and you know, prior to that, but to be there next to him and sharing a stage with him was insane. Like, our trailers were connected. You know, we had connecting trailers. And you know, I was wearing an Ian MacKay shirt, and I was walking up, and he goes, I saw Minor Threat play December, their first show ever.
Yeah.
December, like, he just dropped off all this like knowledge. Like, I didn't even get to, like, I wasn't even like close to him yet. You know, I was walking up, and he was just like, dropped all this knowledge, and we just started having a conversation.
He worked at an ice cream parlor. He worked at the ice cream parlor.
His memory for things is insane.
I saw him at Trader Joe's recently, and I would have nothing to say to him in a normal setting, except if we talked about music, like studio or something. But I saw him at Trader Joe's, and I was just like, I'm at Trader Joe's at every one of them in LA all the time. But I'm like there, and I just go, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And all he does is work out and eat and listen to records, vinyl, nothing else. And that's it. That's it.
Yep.
You hear his shit, and he's like, all I do, I do push-ups, and then I listen to music, and then I make myself a half a chicken breast. He's like that guy. He's like, that's all I do. Don't date, don't this, don't that. I do that. I drink water. I did it. And regiment. And I was just like, here I am. And I wanted to walk by him and go, what does he eat at trade? What is he getting? That pickle hummus?
He
what's he
eats
getting?
pine nut hummus too.
I was like,
pine nut hummus.
I was like, this dude. But yeah, dude.
That's a very specific.
That's also hummus, incredible. Dude. It's incredible ska band.
It's my hummus, bro.
It's
the only hummus that fucking.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into last song we're going to talk about. Why Can't I Touch It? Great album.
Why Can't I Touch
It? This long, slow, grooving, and looping B-side to Everybody's Happy Nowadays is experimental and about as post-punk as anything on here. It also rounds out the album's theme of yearning dissatisfaction. Like I said before, previous song, this is my favorite moment on the record. Adam, close us out, bud. Dude, I mean, we can keep playing it, but for time, kill it. I mean, just the bass in it alone is like just so great. When I say the last was my favorite song, I don't know, man. Just listening to it and watching everybody's reaction, it really makes me to say this might be my favorite. What do you got, Shapel?
I wanted to ask you guys if you caught this. This is how when I initially heard it. Does it sound a little Zeppelin-ish to you?
I mean, you could probably hear like when the levee breaks or when something like that, where it's got that. Because remember, people listen to this and go, remember, it's a B-side.
Yeah.
So it's so it's not like this was. I mean, it's become more popular later because it also starts touching on like dub a little bit. It starts touching on like just that sort of like reggae. It almost feels.
I guess mainly the vocals of the right.
Oh, you hear the high, like the high, like Robert Plant stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have made that connection. I could definitely hear where you're going.
Am I weirdo for that?
No. Because music's fluid, it's always
yeah.
But yeah, no, it was definitely, I could see that. Like this is one of those songs where if I said to you, hey, it's a punk rock, it's called Buzzcocks, and they're a punk rock band, and I played you this, you'd be like,
yeah.
What's the punk?
You don't want to intro someone with that song.
Yeah. And I love it. This is probably we still play this on Tuesday nights and whip into this and then go into like the Pixies or something because this is sort of
it has a Pixies, but it has a Pixies feel. Yeah. I heard who did I hear?
There's so much in it.
I heard. Am I wrong, Morty? I heard Devo a little bit.
You can hear. I mean, this is like television. Remember we talked about television? We talked about how television had these songs that were like 5, 6, 7 minute long, and they were just sort of like 3 instruments. Kind of now a lot more like German, more of mechanical, very angular. This is more like that. This sounds like a band that's grooving despite of themselves, but they're not going anywhere. They're here for a while to play this song, and they're totally cool with grooving out. And like, if I didn't know better, you'd be like, this is when they got into pop. You know what I mean? Like they were like speed, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then they were like, fuck it. How long do we have to record this? 9 minutes? Cool, dude. Let's just do
it. I love that.
Yeah, I love that. Like, that's what it sounds like to me.
And I guess we all found something in it because it has so many elements to it to where you're just like, oh, it's just like, I
love this. The more I listen to it, the more I go. Because if I had to pick, I don't mind. As far as it's 2 different worlds of Buzzcocks. There's that, and then this is of itself. It's so singular to me. Of their type of music because it was so poppy and this is like, this is just like Bauhaus or something to me. This is post-punk. This is and it really remember also they started punk, but their era it all mixes together because post-punk is 78.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Gang of Four is already putting out records and we're not calling that punk. We're calling that post-punk. So this is where we're at. And this comes out even later than that, or around that, a little later. So to me, this is the gem. This to me, if you don't know this, because it's been covered, like Adam was telling me, Pearl Jam's covered this a bunch in concert. Like this is one of those ones that, a lot of people have whipped this one out. It's also, by the way, the only song that's credited to all 4 members of the band. So it really is like a jam between the guys, and the lyrics are sort of just it's very John Lennon, where he just takes a line and then he twists one word the next time it comes around, and then he twists it, and the chorus ties it together. But if you guys are out there and you only heard Buzzcocks and you think this is just like a bunch of dudes pogoing, listen to this song. Yeah. Groove out, put on headphones and listen to this because it's just such a groovy song.
Well, now that I even think about it, even if you introduce someone to that song first, I mean, and you play other songs after,
right?
Like it all still makes sense. Like it's all still Buzzcocks.
Yeah, it's all ice cream for sure.
Yeah,
it's just something you get different flavors.
It's not radishes, man.
No, it's definitely not radishes.
It's all there.
All right, let's do some facts, Morty, and let's get out of here.
Absolutely. So in 2018, they had set up a show for June 21st, 2019 at the Royal Albert Hall. But obviously, sadly, Pete died in December of 2018. So with his family's approval, the show went on as a tribute to Pete with various artists filling in, including, and I know that you'll know who these people are, Dave Vanian and Captain Sensible of the Damned, Thurston Moore of Sonic Youth, and Tim Burgess of the Charlatans.
Nice.
Were some of the people that filled in there.
All right, what else we got?
Pete and Howard Devoto teamed up again in 2002 for the first time since 1976, producing the electronic punk album, you'll like this, Buzzkunst. So don't get too excited. Kunst is the German word for art.
Nah, it's the other one.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah. So, by the way, how they came up with the name, because, there's no way you go Buzzkunst and you go, I'm sorry, what
was that? Excuse me?
Yeah.
What'd you call me?
Yeah. So, by the way,
say it to my face. Say it again.
Just to get to how they came up with Buzzcocks in the first place, they chose it because there was a headline and there was a rock TV series, and there was a headline in a magazine that said it's the Buzzcock, buzz comma cock. Now, just so you know, the buzz was that thrill, the buzz, like the thrill, the excitement of playing live on stage. Cock's a Northern English slang. It means like pal, mate.
Can I,
friend.
not to cut you off, but can I just tell you, I love the British vernacular more than any other, like their phrases, their terms, even like when like the streets was big and the Cockney rhyming slang. Right. So they say dog and bone is actually phone. And like, I love it. I love it. I love the way that Paul McCartney talks like he's fucking Willy Wonka. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. That being said, what else we got?
So by the way, so they were very aware of the sexual connotation. In fact, Pete used to actually work at a sex shop. So he was very aware. He was very aware of like Buzzcock. Buzzcock is definitely not something you say and people just go, oh, like Buzzcock. They're like, oh, you just made that up, and that it sounds like that. So speaking of names, while many of his punk contemporaries were adopting tough, iconoclastic, or tongue-in-cheek stage names like Rotten, Strummer, Vicious, Palmolive, Advert, and Idol, Pete paid a really uncool tribute to his favorite romantic poet, Percy Bysshe Shelley, which was really way more punk, and also I think makes that connection to Morrissey. That I think that cooler. He went. Who's my favorite romantic guy? Percy Shelley, Mary Shelley's, husband. I'm going to go with Shelley. And they're like, yeah, but dude, I'm fucking vicious and idol and rocker and kill it. No, I'm going to go with Shelley.
I love that.
I'm like, okay.
I love that.
All right. I think in retrospect, Percy's middle name Bish, even though it's spelled Byssshe, is kind of groovy nowadays. You're like, yo, my name's Pete Bish.
Ooh.
Like that, like Frank. If Frank Ocean's name was Pete Bish, you wouldn't have had to wait for him to tell you.
that sounds like something that like Nicki Minaj would say. Like, you're such a bish.
Percy,
you know
bish.
what I mean?
Yeah. And then, in 2005, as a tribute to legendary British DJ John Peel. By the way, listen to all the Peel sessions. Pete re-recorded an all-star version of "Ever Fallen in Love with Someone You Shouldn't Have," and this is rad. It featured Roger Daltrey, from The Who. Dave Gilmour from Pink Floyd, Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin, and Peter Hook from both Joy Division and New Order. And those are guys that you wouldn't have necessarily thought would be singing and participating in sort of a punk rock tribute to it, which I think is real. That shows you the power of music again, because, you were saying, people would think you'd separate. I'm into Zeppelin. Fuck you. I'm not listening to Sex Pistols, which is sort of, they came out because they were a reaction to all these people singing about Valhalla and J.R.R. Tolkien and playing 9-minute drum solos. And they were like, no, we want Eddie Cochran. We want Gene Vincent. We want Elvis Presley. We want rock and roll. Give us 2 minutes. Sing about fucking. Sing about not being able to fuck. Get in, get out.
That's amazing.
And then, these other guys, like, I have a song called Achilles' Last Stand. And it goes on for 8 minutes. And there's 9 parts. And it's like, dude, come on, dude. So that's what I think when you have these guys that they respected John Peel, but they also respected the song enough to come back and pay to it on something that would have been sort of, almost like insulting to them that it exists in the first place, is the greatest ever. And then lastly, I'd say in contrast to Punk's earlier dangerous and unruly image, and despite Orgasm Addict the year before, in 1978, Pete said, "I won't be nasty. We're just four nice lads, the kind of people you could take home to your parents." And I think that total encapsulates what you hear in him.
Completely. No, I agree.
That's amazing.
This is a punk band that I could play for my dad, and I think my dad would be able to be like,
said
okay,
yeah,
100%. All right, I got rapid questions, Shapel, and then you're out of here. All right,
rapid.
And you said you already answered this, but I might have missed it. Favorite song on the record?
Hello?
Yeah,
you froze for a second. I was like, he's really thinking of this.
Yeah. So did I. Can you hear us? Hold on. Fuck. Oh, we're so done.
No, it's 1 second, but it was so funny though. His pause. I was like,
I know.
He's really thoughtful. He's like, I changed. I first.
Shapel, can you hear us?
He's just
Shapel.
Make sure he didn't get muted or something.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, hold on.
Okay, cool. Because we're like, we're there, dude. We're so there. Please don't. We're done in like 30 seconds.
By the way, you froze. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
You froze, and I thought you were just getting really thoughtful because you were like this. What's your favorite song? You went like this, and then you froze, and I'm like, damn. He's putting so much thought into this. Like, we have to give.
No, this is fucking. I suck with technology and shit, and my computer's old as fuck.
Fuck yeah. All right, here we go.
It's probably like, hey, my computer's probably like, hey, dog, I'm done.
He's like, dude, you got like 4 more podcasts on me. That's what I got. He's like, anything after that, you on your own, baby. Better do that live.
You on your own.
Yeah. All right.
I would say off that record, I'd probably say Ever Fallen in Love.
Okay.
I gotta give it to that.
That's your favorite. If you know that was the initial reaction. Yeah. So all right, and then this is a weirder one. Least favorite track on the record.
And we didn't do all of them because
there's a tough one
on there. Yeah.
Hold on, let me.
What do you skip over?
That's a tough one.
I mean, side one's sort of hard to beat. Side.
Yeah, side one's fucking.
I'm sort of old, but like side, by the way. I mean, Noise and Noise is one of those ones to me where
I was just getting ready to say Noise and Noise.
Yeah,
okay.
it's just like almost like a goof, like it's a punchline.
Yeah, and I don't even want to say it, but
Yeah.
But Noise and Noise.
Doesn't mean you hate it, just means you might skip over it. All right. What song on this record would you fuck to?
Look, he's bashful.
Everybody's happy nowadays.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. All right. This question is nothing to do with these two bands, but it has something to do with what we talked about. If you could only listen to one of these two artists for the rest of your life and the other one you can never hear again, who are you choosing? Oasis or Black Flag?
Who can I not listen to?
You only get to pick one, and the other one you can't ever listen to again.
Oh, pick one to listen to.
Yeah.
Oasis.
God, fuck. Yeah. We should have fucking. Well, we'll do it. We'll figure something out. We'll figure something out to get you.
Got Oasis right there.
I just want to tease you with this. In 19 weeks, we have Damaged coming up. That might be long enough to wait for you to come back.
I'd bring you back. I'd bring you back.
I knew it. Dude, the minute I saw Damaged, I was like, oh, when he finds out that's on the list. The Black Flag record.
But that was 19 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
19 weeks. That's why I wanted him on now. I knew it.
No, I'm saying it. I want him to come back.
Damaged.
It's your shit.
Damaged.
I know. I heard look at him. He's crying.
All right. Calm down. I gotta go get a sandwich in 15 minutes. So let's wrap this shit up. Because the last question, and I want to hear your honest opinion of why. Does this deserve to be on the 500 greatest albums list, and why?
Yes. Because like you said, it pulls you in immediately. And I think in order for an album like to be on the top 500, it's got to be an album that pulls you in immediately. It has to be an album that when you listen to it from start to finish, you just understand it. And I think that's what this album does.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Side note on the 2012 Rolling Stone Top 500 list, this is at 359. That's where we are picking it up. On the new list, it is 250. So it moved up.
Wow.
Dude,
moved up.
Bro, Shapel, like the new list, I'm telling you, dude, like it's like a lot of hip hop moved up where it's like we did Illmatic. No, fuck that. We can just open with number 500 was Outcast Aquemini, and now it was what? Morty, you said last week it was like
64 or something.
It was like 64. It moved up.
Oh,
it
no,
moved
maybe
up
that was
100.
John or something. I
No, but then like Illmatic, which we did, back
Stankonia moved up to 64.
Yeah. No, Aquemini, right?
No, I think it was Stankonia moved up. But it's also that was 2012.
Yeah.
Now hip hop is, it's past golden age. Now it's like we were saying, now it's an artifact. So now we've got fifth generations after original run of hip hop. So like now they're back to where like rock and roll was in like 85 or 83. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you're right. You're right. Shapel, I can't express this to you enough. How much fun I think me and Morty both had today. Like, you're the reason that I do this podcast, with all the bullshit that I put up with sometimes from people shitting on me for my opinion and not knowing stuff. This is what makes the episodes fun. And I can't thank you enough, dude. This was great. And thank you for being so honest at the beginning too.
Yeah.
Anything? Can we have a radio backflip? Can you do a backflip on?
No,
the radio?
not right now.
I just know it on the radio. I want people to hear this. You hear it?
Yeah, dude. He's in his sunroom right now, bro.
He just did it.
Yeah. I'm about to take my school pictures.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
What do you have to? What do you have to promote? Promote away. Anything you want to promote?
I'll be. Wait, when does this come out?
Comes out next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday? Oh, that's perfect because Thursday through Friday I'll be in Baltimore at Magooby's Joke House. So I'll be out there. And then August 26th, Brea Improv. That's about as far as I got. And then check out my podcast. It's Managed with Shapel Lacey. That's my individual podcast that I do where I just talk about how I keep my brain on the right track.
Nice, dude. Nice. Morty, what do you got?
Yeah, man. I'm DJ Morty Coyle on Twitter. You can find me on there. Go check out B and Daddy Cartoons on Instagram with me singing with my daughter. And by the way, yes, we've done Buzzcocks and we did TV Party. So you'll dig that. We did Black Flag. And I want to give check out Fokker Force 5 Tuesday nights on our Facebook Live. You'll find it on there if you find it. And we play live for hours, 8 o'clock ish Pacific Standard Time. Shout out to Denise K2662 on Twitter, another Fleece Army member. And you guys, I love shouting you guys out. We love getting the back and forth. You guys are becoming so vocal. Please give love to Shapel, give love to all our other guests, follow them along and say what you like about it. Say what your favorite song are. We read them. And I love talking about the music with you guys. So please get involved in it.
It's a book club. Yeah. It's a book club. That's the whole point of this, is that I wanted everybody to be involved, and the people that are,
I like that.
Yeah.
Well,
please rate us on. Rate us. I always forget to say this. Please rate us on like iTunes and all those things. Please, if you like the show, if you have constructive criticism, whatever you want, but
criticism.
Please,
no, fuck no. I'm done with the criticism, dude. I'm done with the criticism.
There was a dude that said something at you that you were like, oh, that guy called me out. Then he came back and he said, I listened to the Keckner episode, and I get it. You guys that was a great episode. And I was like, it was a great episode. And Keckner came. You are the same kind of guy, Shapel.
Yeah.
You came in here loving this.
That's
what we'd love to have.
I agree.
I mean, I could go on all day, but music is the thing for me that helps me understand life.
I love that. Perfect. That's a perfect button on this episode. Shapel, thank you, brother.
Thank you, guys.